The Ghost in the Attic by Leanne Little. Copyright 2010. It had been a long time since Daniel had seen anyone. He'd been locked away in the house as long as he could remember. His wife Kara and son Nathan had left him long ago, so Kara could marry the object of her affair. He had been so depressed that he'd locked himself in the attic and had barely moved since, as dead inside as he felt outside. Most people even thought the rickety old house was abandoned. Every once in a while he heard noises downstairs, a child fulfilling a dare, or a real estate agent making a half-hearted attempt to sell the place. Daniel never showed himself to anyone. He was invisible, and it was easy to leave them to continue about their business and would figure out what to do when someone moved in, when the time came. It wasn't until one late spring day that the van came. It was a sound he hadn't heard in years. It drew him to the window and, as he tried to see who was moving in, a young boy caught his attention. The boy was about the same age as his son had been the last time they had seen each other. The van was unloaded quickly for its size, and the family began unpacking. Daniel tracked the family below, relishing the happy and optimistic tones that drew him from one side of the attic to the other, depending on where they were downstairs. It was no surprise that he found himself eavesdropping during breakfast. "Did you hear anything last night?" the boy asked. "No. Should I have?" asked the father. The boy looked down at his cereal. "I just thought I heard footsteps or something in the attic. No big deal." The father took a large bite of his toast and swallowed, brushing off the topic. "It's an old house. There's bound to be unusual noises." The boy nodded and dropped the conversation. He didn't mention it at all for the rest of the week while Daniel spent the time trying to be even quieter. Saturday morning came, and Daniel thought that there would be no better time to make proper introductions. He paced nervously, waiting until lunchtime to make himself known. At last, he heard the family sit down in the kitchen and made his way there. He reached the doorway and stood silently, waiting for the perfect moment. When he realized that there didn't seem to be one, he cleared his throat. Two of them snapped their heads up and gawked at him before mother and son began speaking over each other. "Who are you?" the boy asked curiously. "Get out of our house," the mother ordered. Surprisingly, the father said nothing, only watched with a smile on his face. "It's all right," he told his family calmly. Turning to Daniel, he said, "I knew you would come out eventually." Daniel was speechless. It was like this man knew him. Who did he know these days? Absolutely no one. He stared blankly, unable to place the man. "Don't you recognize me?" Receiving no answer, the man stood up proudly and walked across the room. "Hello, Dad," he said, wrapping his arms around Daniel. Daniel pulled back and held his son out at arm's length, completely amazed at this turn of events. He should have seen the resemblance. "Nathan? It's been 30 years, Dad. I'm glad to see you're still alive and kicking." "I thought I was dead," Daniel replied in such a low voice that the boy couldn't hear. Nathan smiled. "No, you're not dead. You've been here the whole time. I have no idea what you've done for food, but you're definitely not dead. Come and eat with us." Daniel followed his son to the table. He let his gaze travel from son to grandson to daughter-in-law, and his heart warm with love. He was the happiest he had been in decades. His son had returned to him and brought his own treasured family with him. He was not as dead as he thought, inside or out.